Saturday live session. I am Sean Smith. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. Without no delay today, let's get it going. So, I'm going to tell you a story about a woman I met. She was 78 years old, and she walked up to me in a coffee shop right in Manchester, Connecticut. I had never seen her before in my life, somebody I never met. She put her hand on my shoulder the way your grandmother used to do it. And she said, "You're the dementia man, aren't you?" I sat there with my coffee getting cold, and I didn't even know what to say. Because 8 years ago, if you had asked me what business I was in, I would have told you non-medical home care. And that answer would have been wrong. I'm not in the home care business. You're not in the home care business. We're in the community pillar business. And nobody told us. I'm Sean Smith, and I want to welcome you to this Saturday Live. And what just happened to me in that coffee shop is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about it for the next 45 minutes or so. I want you to drop pillar in the comments if you've been calling yourself a business owner when your community is starving for you to be something bigger. Now, before we go anywhere new, I want to bring you back through what we talked about this week in 60 seconds. Because what I'm about to teach you only makes sense if you can see the line running up through through all 5 nights. Now, Monday, we talked about visibility not being authority. You can be seen by 10,000 people and trusted by 0. The mirror test doesn't ask, do they recognize me? It asks, would they trust me in their mother's bedroom at 6 in the morning? Now, those are 2 completely different scores. Tuesday, compassionate care for your loved ones is the most expensive sentence in the entire industry. You have to pick a lane because when you are for everyone, you are compelling to nobody. And the family on Google gives you 3 seconds before they scroll past you. Just 3. Wednesday, brands have rhythms, hobbies, have moods. Drumbeat is what tells the market you can be counted on. 3 notes per post, 3 posts per week, 90 days minimum before you measure a single result. Thursday, the lighthouse doesn't chase ships. The lighthouse signals. Being good is private. Being the go-to is public. And you don't own a category until you've taught someone else how to think about it. Friday, presence is not dominance. The visiting team has presence. The home team has dominance. You don't win a market. You take a court. You map the territory. You execute the own it menu. You become the first call. 5 nights, 5 frameworks. But here's what I didn't tell you all week long. Those 5 frameworks are not the destination. They're not. They are the trail markers that lead to one thing, just one. And that one thing is what Saturday is about. This is what today is about. You're not building a brand. You're not building a marketing system. You weren't even building a business. You were quietly, night by night, building the foundation of a pillar. And today we're going to install that pillar. Now, let me take you back to the year 2000. A Harvard political scientist named Robert Putnam. He published a book called Bowling Alone. It was the result of more than 2 decades of research across American community life. Putnam wanted to know one question. Are Americans still connected to each other the way our grandparents were? And the answer, of course, was no. And the data was sobering. Putnam found that the social fabric holding American neighborhoods together for 200 years had been quietly collapsing since the mid-1960s. Not because of any bad event, not one bad event, because of 1,000 small ones. Now let's take a look at something. Church memberships are down. Civic organizations down. Bowling leagues, yes, bowling leagues, down. Neighborhood gatherings, also, they're down. You don't see them anymore. Adult friendships are down. The hours Americans spent sitting around a kitchen table with someone outside the family, that collapsed. It's no more. Let me not say it's no more. It's very rare and they're very far and few between. Now I want you to fast forward to May of 2023. The United States Surgeon General issued a public health advisory. The title alone should make every agency owner sit up straight. It was called Our Epidemic of Loneliness and Isolation. Roughly half of American adults reported feeling lonely. Half. And the research from Dr. Julian Holt Lunston at Brigham Young University, it found that chronic social isolation carries health risks comparable to smoking about 15 cigarettes a day. Now, I want you to go read that. Think back on that. The chronic loneliness carrying the health risk equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Now, anybody you know in your life, somebody that you love, was smoking 15 cigarettes a day, you would be concerned. You would advise them not to do it. But nobody's talking about this. We're not living through a marketing season. We're living through a community vacuum. And right in the middle of that vacuum sits a 78-year-old woman trying to figure out how to keep her husband out of a nursing home. She doesn't have a pastor the way her mother did. She doesn't have a Rotary Club the way her mother and grandmother did. She doesn't have a neighborhood where everyone knows her name. She has Google. She has a phone. And she has a panic that has not slept in 3 weeks. Do you understand what that means for you, though? The home care agency owner in 1985 was a vendor in a sea of community pillars. Churches, doctors, schools, lodges, neighbors, they all carried weight. The home care agency owner in 2026 is, in many neighborhoods, is one of the only structures still standing. When the church empties, when the doctor retires, when the neighbors move, when the kids live 3 states away, who's left to anchor that family? You are. If you will claim the role. I want you to comment vacuum if you have ever felt your community is in hunger for help, that more hunger for help than it used to be. And you didn't have the name for it until tonight. Here's a reframe. I want you to walk out. This is what I want you to walk out with today. You do not run a home care agency. You operate the last piece of community infrastructure many of these families will have. The market does not need another agency. The market needs more pillars. And the agency owners who realize that get treated differently. They get referred without asking. They get protected without paying. They get adopted by their community the way pillars get adopted, by people who would feel something was missing if you walked away. So the real question is now, how do I grow my agency? The real question is, how do I become the pillar my zip code is starving for? And that question has a method. I'm going to call this method the pillar method. And it's 3 tests, 3 letter A's: anchor, absence, adoption. I want you to write that down. Now, let's talk about pillar 1. Pillars are anchored. They do not sway in the news cycle. They do not shape shift to match the market. They stand on something that doesn't move. Now, here's the test. Finish this sentence out loud and do it in one breath. In my agency, we will never blank. Whatever fills that blank, that's your anchor. If you can't fill it cleanly, you don't have an anchor yet. You have a logo. When Bridget and I sat down in year 5 at A Touch of Love, we wrote down 4 anchors. 1, we will never staff a case without first reading the client's life story. 2, we will never let a caregiver walk into a home without a written care plan. Not just a written care plan, but one that they are versed on and have access to. 3, we will never compete on price. We compete on outcomes. And 4, we will never accept a client that we can't serve at a high level. 4 anchors. Our community knows them. Our community quotes them back to us. Our community judges new agencies by them. This is what an anchor does. Pillars are not recognized by what they advertise. Pillars are recognized by what they refuse to do. Now, I want you to drop anchor in the comments if with one thing your agency will never do, even if it costs you a client. Drop that down in the chat for me. Now, a pillar's value is measured by what would be missing if it were gone. Now, here's the test. I want you to close your eyes for a minute. Imagine you close your agency on Monday morning. What specific thing would your community lose? Not fewer options, and I don't mean that. I'm not talking about less choices. Specifically, what would disappear from your zip code that no one else is currently providing? And if you can't name it, your community wouldn't even notice you were gone. And that's not a marketing problem. That's a pillar problem. So at A Touch of Love, when we ask the question, the answer is the Connecticut dementia families who have been with us 5, 6, 7 years, the caregivers we trained in advanced behavioral intervention, the discharge planners who know our intake line by heart, the windows who still send us Christmas cards because we were the last people in their husband's bedroom, the widows. If we close, something specific would break. Can you say that? If the answer is yes, then you are a pillar. If no, guess what? It's not too late. You just have homework to do. Now, I want you to comment absence if today is the day you start building something your community would actually miss. Now, I want you to know pillars do not market themselves. Pillars get adopted by their communities. Here's the test. When someone in your zip code speaks poorly about your agency, and they will, I don't care, it happens to everybody. That's because that's what humans do. Who in your community defends you? I'm not talking about your spouse. I don't mean your employees. Certainly not your mom. Who outside your business goes to bat for you in rooms you're not standing in? If the answer is nobody, or I don't know, you're not adopted. You are a vendor. But here's the beautiful thing. Adoption happens slowly. A discharge planner who has seen you keep your word 12 times in a row starts defending you in her staff meetings. A family whose mother died peacefully under your care starts defending you in their grief group. A church that you served quietly for 2 years starts defending you in elder council meetings. Adoption is earned in small moments, but it is held for decades. That's how pillars stand. Now I want you to type adoption if you're going to start counting the defenders you don't have yet and start earning them this month. You got to earn them. Now, I want you to think about something. Think about a pillar that has 3 parts. That base is your anchor, what you stand on, what never moves. The column, that is your absence. The weight only you carry, the specific load your community has handed you. The capital, the crown at the top, that is your adoption. What gets seen, what gets remembered, what gets defended. Anchor, absence, adoption, 3 A's, one pillar. Write this on a sticky note. Put it on your monitor. Every quarter, am I adopted? If 3 yeses, you are a pillar. If 3 no's, you're a logo with a phone number. Most of us are somewhere in between, and that's fine. But you have to know where you stand. You have to stand for something. Now, here's what I want to leave you with today. Before we open the questions, before I start addressing some of the questions that I received this week, you came in this week thinking you needed a better marketing system. You leave today knowing something different. Your community is in a vacuum. Your grandparents have never had to live in. Churches are smaller. Civic groups are smaller. Doctors do not make house calls. Neighbors do not drop by the way they did when you were a kid. Somebody has to stand for these families. And right now, in your zip code, you are one of the few people who are positioned to do so. This is not a marketing opportunity. This is a moral assignment. You don't get to be small anymore. Not because you're not allowed, because the family on the other end of your phone cannot afford for you to be small. If you want help building the anchor, naming the absence, and earning the adoption, the Home Care 7-Figure Blueprint community on Facebook is where we do the work together. That's where agency owners stop running businesses and start standing as pillars. I want you to drop Blueprint in the comments or send me a direct message and I'll show you what's inside. And it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Now let's get to the questions, because I've been getting a lot of questions all week long. What I did was I pulled 10 of the best ones from this week's chat. I want you to bring me your noise in the comments, and let's make this the most useful hour you spend this week. Let's see. All right, question 1. This question came from Monday. Visibility is an authority. Question 1. I did the mirror test on my last 30 posts. It's all motivational quotes and happy Friday graphics. How do I rebuild without making it look like I'm starting over? First thing, don't start over. Don't delete anything. Deleting looks like an identity crisis. Pivoting looks like a leader who learned something. Now here's how Bridget and I did it. You pick one. Tuesday, post a single case study. Real client, real outcome, real specific. Don't apologize for the old post. Don't explain the shift. Just start posting like the agency you should have been posting like. But by post number 4, the old post will fall beneath the new ones in your feed. So they're not seen like that. By post number 12, new visitors will not even scroll back far enough to even see them. You don't burn down the old house, you move into the new room and slowly take over. The market will not notice the transition. They will just notice you sound different, sharper, like you know who you are. And that's the win. Let's see. And this one came from defining your new unique position. And the question is, I'd picked dementia as my name, but 3 other agencies in my zip code also claim dementia. How do I become the dementia agency, not just one of them? What happens is, this is reality. 3 of you say it. 1 of you proves it. Everybody claims dementia as their specialty. Most agencies claim dementia. And the way most cereal boxes claim natural. The market doesn't reward the agency that says dementia. The market rewards the agency that visibly lives dementia. Now, here's how you separate. One, your caregivers have to hold formal dementia certification, not experience with dementia, certifications with dates and seals. Get them, display them on your wall. Two, your case studies have to be dementia specific. Not Mrs. Johnson felt better. Mrs. Johnson's wandering episodes dropped from 4 a week to 0 in 90 days under our care. Three, your free education has to be dementia only. Workshops, family guides, discharge planner trainings. If your competitors are saying dementia, but offering vanilla content, you become the dementia agency within a year. It's not who claims the lane, it's who shows up in the lane every Tuesday at 7 p.m. See, question 3. I committed to the 90-day drum beat. We're at week 3. Nothing is happening. Inquiries are flat. How do I stay committed when the silence feels louder than the posts? That's a great question. And here's what I'm gonna tell you. Week 3 is where most agencies quit. Don't be most agencies. Here's what's happening right now that you can't see. The frequency illusion has not kicked in yet. Your audience is still deciding whether you mean it or not. In week 3, your discharge planner has seen you exactly 3 times. She doesn't trust you yet. She's watching to see if you will disappear again like all the other agencies did when they tried this. By week 6, she notices you on her own. By week 8, she mentions you to a colleague. By week 10, she brings your name up in a referral meeting. The rule of 7 is not a slogan. It's not. It's how human brains work. So this week, don't measure the inquiries, measure compliance. Did you post Tuesday? Did you post Thursday? Did you post Sunday? 3 yeses is the only metric. It's the only metric that matters between now and day 90. Inquiries follow rhythm. Rhythm does not follow inquiries. Make sure you make note of that. Let's see. You said pick one signal per quarter. What if I'm a brand new agency owner with no credentials, no panels, no published guides? Should I pick one signal or build credentials first? Pick the signal first. Always. Credentials follow signals. Signals do not follow credentials. Here's what I mean. If you're brand new, first signal is not a panel at a national conference. Your first signal is a free workshop at the senior center, 2 miles from your office. That is a signal. It costs nothing. It requires no credential. It puts you in the room where decision makers quietly take notes about who shows up. Your second signal, maybe 3 months later, is a guest spot on a local podcast about caregiving. Your third signal, quarter 3 is your first published family guide. By the time year 1 is over, you will have sent 4 signals. You will have more credibility than agencies 5 years older than you who waited to feel ready. Don't wait to feel ready. Pillars are not built by waiting. They're built by doing. Let's see. My territory map shows one big agency owns every hospital in my zip code. They've been there 15 years. Their owner sits on the hospital foundation board. Can I really take that court from them? Good question. And my answer is, you probably cannot take their court. But you can build a different court that turns out to be more valuable. Now, here's what most owners miss. A hospital is not the only court. There are courts you haven't even mapped yet. Geriatric care managers, estate planning attorneys, adult daycare programs, memory care facilities needing home-based step-down partners, faith communities with aging members, LGBTQ senior centers, veterans organizations, Parkinson's support groups, hospice agencies needing pre-hospice home care. When the big agency owns the obvious court, the smart agency finds the court they're ignoring and dominates that one before they notice. And by the time they notice, you've built relationships they can't replicate in 18 months. Sometimes the path to dominance is not taking the court, it's finding the court nobody else is playing on. Here's one. How do I know when I've actually become a community pillar, and what does it look like from the inside? Well, you don't announce it, you notice it. And here are 3 signs to watch for. Sign number 1, strangers know your name. Not your business name, but your name. You're the dementia woman, aren't you? Sign 2, you stop pitching. You don't need to anymore. When somebody asks what you do, you describe families, not services, and they lean in. And sign 3, community institutions start inviting you in. You don't apply, they ask. The hospitals ask you to train their discharge team. The senior center asks you to host a panel. The bank asks you if you will speak at their financial planning night. When those 3 signs show up in the same month, congratulations, you're a pillar. Most agency owners spend their whole career chasing the first sign without ever earning the third. The good news, once it starts, it doesn't stop. Let's see. I'm an introvert. The whole community pillar idea sounds like extrovert language. Is there a path for those of us who don't love rooms full of strangers? Yes, there is. And honestly, I think introverts make better pillars. And here's why. Extroverts get adopted by communities because they are known. Introverts get adopted by communities because they are trusted. Known fades, trusted lasts. Here's the introvert pillar path. 1, pick written signals over spoken ones. A monthly guide, a weekly newsletter, a library of articles. Your work travels without you having to. 2, do small rooms, not big rooms. A coffee with 1 discharge planner beats a panel at a 200 person event every time. Pillars are built 1 relationship at a time. Anyway. 3, let your team carry your presence while you carry depth. Hire 1 outgoing community liaison. You stay home and become the brain. She handles handshakes, you handle strategy. That makes the handshakes mean something special. I know agency owners who have never given a public speech in their life. They are pillars. They just built a column with quieter material. All right, moving down the line. Some good questions have come in. I definitely commend everybody who sent questions in. These are some very good questions, and I'm enjoying answering them. Please continue to send them. Let's see. I have caregivers. I don't fully trust to represent the agency in public. How can I become a community pillar when my team isn't pillar ready? You cannot. And that is the answer nobody wants to hear. If you stand up as a pillar with a team that can't carry the weight, the column cracks under the first real test. So here's what you do in this exact order. First, audit the team the way your community would. Who answers your phone? Who shows up at the first visit? Who handles a family complaint? If any of those people would embarrass the brand in a public moment, you have a hiring problem, not a marketing problem. Second, train hard before you go visible. Run scripts, role play calls, build a written care standard. The pillar reputation travels at the speed of your weakest caregiver. Third, only then start sending signals. A pillar reputation arrives slowly, but it leaves quickly. When the team can't carry it, it's gone. Build the team first. Then turn the lighthouse on, and you're going to be glad you did. Let's see. Bridget and you are husband and wife co-owners. Okay, here's a really good one. Bridget and you are husband and wife co-owners like my husband and I are. How do I split the community facing work? My husband wants to be the face. I'd rather be in operation. Who's right? Both of you are right. And Bridget and I learned this the hard way. We made every classic mistake in the first 3 years. We both showed up to every event. We both posted on every page. We both gave the same speech. The market got two muddy versions of us instead of one clear pillar. Then we sat down one night and divided the visibility the way you divide a kitchen. I take the camera. I take the podcast. I take the community signals. I take the public teaching. Bridget takes the operation. Bridget takes the caregiver development. Bridget takes the client experience. Bridget takes the company values. We're both pillars. We're pillars of different columns. The agency holds because of us both, but the community sees one clear face in each domain. Talk it out with your husband. Pick the lane that makes you energized. Let him take the lane that makes him alive. The community does not need two of you in the same chair. It needs one of you in two different rooms. Great question. All right, this is the last one for you. I've been doing this for 8 years. I'm tired. Becoming a community pillar sounds like more work on top of work I'm already drowning in. Is it? Well, here's the truthful answer. It's yes and no. Yes, the first year of pillar work is harder than whatever you've been doing. And you will have to stop some hobby level habits. You will have to install some real systems. You will feel exposed in some rooms where you used to hide. No, because by year 2, pillars do less work than agency owners. Now, here's the math that you're probably not aware of. When you are a vendor, you have to chase every client, every referral, every caregiver, every contract. When you are a pillar, the community brings the work to you. You get referrals you did not ask for. Caregivers apply that you did not recruit. Doctors call that you did not pitch. Pillar work is harder for 12 months. Vendor work is harder for the rest of your career. 8 years in, you have earned the right to stop running and start standing. That's what today's session was about. Stop running, start standing. Your community needs you to. And honestly, so do you. Well, people, that's our time. If you take one thing out of this room today, I want you to let it be this. You came in this week thinking you needed a better business. You leave today knowing something bigger. Your zip code is short on pillars. And you are one of the few people positioned to fill that gap. Don't waste that. I want you to comment pillar if today landed. DM me the word blueprint if you want the playbook that gets you there. I want to get you there in 12 months instead of 12 years. And Monday at 7 p.m., we start week 2, and I'll see you there. Have a great day. Make today one of your best days ever. Go spend some time with family and enjoy the weather. Bye for now.